Welcome to the Integra LTC Solutions podcast series. This podcast series is a collection of discussions and interviews about our pharmacy technology products and the services helping to position our customers for the best possible outcomes for operational success. Our mission of mindful design and thoughtful service drives us to deliver the best software and technology for your long-term care pharmacy operations to help you deliver the best patient care. The Integra LTC Solutions podcast series is a part of the Pharmacy Podcast Network.
Okay. Well, welcome to the Pharmacy Podcast Network. I'm Chad Wurz. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the American Society of Consultant Pharmacists. So tell me about yourself.
Yeah, so Care Services provides long-term care pharmacies and institutional pharmacies the opportunity to grow, to operate 24/7, and to make sure they're servicing their companies and their partners 24/7 with stat needs, urgent emergent needs, first fills, and release medications.
Okay, so it looks like you're a family of solutions. So talk about that.
Yeah, so we've got a number of different brands. Our backup pharmacy brands, MedCall and GeriScript, work exclusively with long-term care pharmacies. And with those long-term care pharmacies, we provide them with 24/7 access through our network of 75,000 retail pharmacies across the country and a network of couriers across the country to make sure patients get medications anytime that they need them. And then our InMedRx product does the same thing but for correctional facilities to ensure that inmates get what they need in a timely fashion. And we kind of tie this all together with our complete delivery solution. And our complete delivery solution uses couriers all across the United States to make sure we can get medications to you in less than 2 hours.
Wow, that's awesome. So you're kind of a end-to-end solution for a pharmacy that may not have a 24/7 operation, that may not have the resources to provide that level of service, but needs to provide that level of service because that's what the market demands.
Absolutely. And what we really love doing is helping our partners grow. So a number of our partners want to grow into new states and they're not ready to put up bricks and mortar. And that's okay. Because we're everywhere, we can help them operate in those new states before they even have to make those types of investments.
Okay, and it's not just for a little combo shop pharmacy. You've got some big clients on here.
We do. We've got some big clients on here. We're really happy to be working with the PharMericas of the world, Pruitts of the world. We are really proud to be working with a number of correctional institutions, including Correct Care and NAF Care. We work with a number of states as well, South Carolina, Ohio, to help service their needs. And for us, we want to continuously improve. And that's why we work so closely with Integra to make sure we're thinking next generation. How can we create connections between what our long-term care and correctional care pharmacies are trying to achieve and the retail pharmacies, providing them insights. So we're building a new portal. We jokingly call it the easy button, where instead of having to call in backup medications into a retail pharmacy, we are building a portal that allows ease of use of getting backup medications processed and delivered, tons of reporting, and that's why we love working with Integra, because it enables us to build a portal like that.
And some integration, I would assume, with those different systems?
Integration
Absolutely.
With those different systems.
That's awesome. Now, where are you guys based out of?
We are based out of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay.
We've got a presence all over the United States and also in Puerto Rico.
Okay, awesome. Now, I think I started this interview backwards, but what's your name?
My name is Lynn Mason. I am the president of our backup division.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming over. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
All right. Paul Hester is a good friend of mine from Cincinnati, owner of Mideast Delivery Solutions.
Thank you, Chad.
How are you?
Doing fantastic.
What are you seeing out in the marketplace right now, long-term care pharmacy-wise?
We've seen a little bit of struggle with the employee base, and the line level employees has been a little bit challenged for people. So I think they're trying to get a little creative on how to retain those employees, and I think that's one of the main focus points for a lot of the owners and directors for the pharmacies in the different regions.
So talk about Mideast Delivery Solutions. What do you guys do?
So we are the delivery solution for the pharmacy. We take everything from the pharmacy, we get it to the nursing homes, the facilities, and we tie everything down with scanning. We've partnered with Integra We also partner with MHA, so we can give some very competitive rates. And so we want to make that process very smooth, and really helps with the audits. A lot of people go through the audits, and without that scanning, they need signatures, they need all kinds of things that...
You're talking about the insurance company audits, where they don't want to pay you for having delivered a service.
Absolutely.
So you provide a solution that gives them the documentation they need to verify you did deliver the service, the pharmacy did deliver the medication.
Absolutely, yes.
And you guys don't just service smaller combo shop pharmacies, you service large pharmacies. So it's a concept where you're trying to be the most efficient solution for delivery for a pharmacy.
Correct, yes. So we'll service anything from, several hundred beds to 10, 15,000 beds, depending on what the need is. And we'll set up a company just for that pharmacy, so they're specific to those needs and that culture. And so we kind of integrate with that team, that management team, and make it a smooth process for everyone involved.
Well, I think that's important because when I look at my past life being a consultant pharmacist and working for pharmacies, one of the things that pharmacy owners are concerned about is how well you're going to represent them as a pharmacy. And you have that same issue as a delivery company. They want to make sure that you represent their company well as a contracted, outsourced delivery system. And it sounds like you do that.
We do. Thank you. Yes, it's very strenuous. We're very urgent. There's a high level sense of urgency on making sure that our people are integrated with that pharmacy, because we are the first person.
Yeah, you're the face in a lot of cases. You're the only person that they see from the pharmacy in a lot of cases.
Right. So we're very attuned to that, and it's a high focus point for us.
All right. Well, thank you, Paul. Thanks for stopping by.
Appreciate it, Chad. Thanks.
So we are live at the Integra conference. This is the Pharmacy Podcast Network. My name is Chad Wurz. I'm the Executive Director and CEO of the American Society of Consultant Pharmacists. And we are just picking people off, having interviews, talking about the services that you provide or you as customers. If you're interested in being on the podcast, please come up. So we have Irving Stackpole here, President of Stackpole & Associates. Irving, how are you?
I'm reasonably well today. How are you, Chad?
I'm doing good. So tell me about your presence here.
Well, this is a great opportunity for individuals who are marginally competent in technology, but passionate about issues in long-term care, to get a little bit smart, to pick up some tidbits, and to discover just how far behind one has been since the last time one was at a technology conference.
It feels that way. It moves fast, doesn't it?
It certainly does. I think that's Moore's Law, right?
I talk all the time about when I first started in pharmacy in long-term care, one of my first nursing homes was Baker's Rest Home, and how it was a place that people just went to, go out to pasture and live out their days. And in the last 20 years, we've seen this incredible shift in what long-term care is, and now it's post-acute rehabilitation centers, and it's all this acuity and sophistication around this very important population that is very complex medically. And it's changed a lot in 20 years. Not just technology, but the patients themselves.
Yes. So I left acute care general admitting hospitals in 1985 to join a group of skilled nursing centers that were trying to get from the American Stock Exchange to the New York Stock Exchange. And we were pretty successful in creating higher acuity activity in the SNF platform. Okay. And we're successful migrating that consumer and migrating that client to the New York Stock Exchange. Back then, we created something called the Subacute Care Association.
Okay.
You probably don't even remember.
I have no idea.
Right. And then we had BBA 97, which sent the sector into a tailspin. And now we have an equally threatening series of events in skilled nursing in particular, which represents an existential threat. And unfortunately, unlike the last time when there was capital available to shore up the system, in the current environment, there isn't that capital.
Well, let's talk about those threats. So what are you seeing?
Well, the first threat is a decline in markets. So the market for skilled nursing is still age-qualified individuals. And the number of age-qualified individuals in many marketplace areas is stable or going down. It's declining. And the reason for that is that the average age of relocation to a nursing center in the United States is 87 years of age.
Correct.
That's the average, despite the fact that there are 2 other nodes to the distribution. But the average is 87. And if you were born in 1931, you'd be 87, 85, 86 years of age in 2018. Check my arithmetic.
Right. You're in the ballpark.
And from 1925 to roughly 1940, the live births in the United States plummeted.
Right.
So the period from 1925 to 1945 is the smallest 20-year age cohort of live births in the history of demographics in the United States. A very famous French philosopher said that demographics is destiny. So we are living out the destiny of a declining market. The second reason is that we're still trying to sell a product that basically nobody wants. And because of continued press media coverage, which is extraordinarily negative, nothing has really been done to overcome that. So we have that, and now we have a situation where the monopsony of CMS has been successful reining in acute care hospitals, successful reining in doctors. We've got MIPS and we've got other successful tools to rein them in. The variance in payments in long-term care is up around 60, 70%. It's unacceptable to CMS. It should be unacceptable to the sector.
Sure.
So those 3 things combined make a perfect storm.
Right. Now, I've talked about that in the past as well, that we're in this calm before the storm in terms of an older population. But in the next 12 years, that 84-year-old today that's in that low node of live birth that you talked about in the 1930s is going to quickly become a high node. We're going to reach that person that was born in 1945 that's 80, 84 years old that is going to be dominating our demographic. So how do you prepare a healthcare system for that? How do you prepare yourself as a business owner that works in long-term care or in this sector for that?
That's a great question, and I think there is the business-clad strategic answer, and the best examples of industries and sectors that have responded to declining markets reduced to 4 principles. You defend, protect, and fortify your existing market share. You drive deep, deep efficiency, which is what technology is all about, which is why I'm absolutely delighted to be here and keen to learn as much as I can without really terrorizing the entire room.
Right.
You must innovate. You have to innovate. And the sector, especially the skilled nursing side of the sector, is almost innovation resistant. It's almost as though they turn a blind eye to anything that's truly innovative. It's curious.
It takes time. You're right.
And the 4th is differentiate. You have to differentiate the individual service provider within the context of the overall provision sector in order to survive. Because and it isn't 5 years, it's more like 12 years.
Yeah.
In 12 years, 1 out of 5 of the nursing centers that are operating today will be out of business. And there isn't the capital, there isn't the resource to retrieve them as there was in 2000, 2001, 2002, when we went through a similar financial squeeze.
So it's about learning how to survive for a lot of these nursing homes.
I think it's more than that. I think it's the sector, especially the leadership in the sector. I commend ASCP, but in particular also Leading Age, ACA, ACHCA. There seems to be a ostrich head in the sand attitude toward what's happening. Nursing homes are closing. I have a Google alert set up for nursing homes plus closing.
Right.
And when I set it up in 2009 or 2010, I would get one every 4 to 6 weeks. I'm getting them every week now.
Wow. That's interesting. So what do we tell our clients out here?
First of all, don't hide. It's absolutely critical that you engage, that you look at what your options are. And then, importantly, defend, protect, and fortify, which is the first step. I think that most people get that, may not know exactly how to apply it.
Right.
Secondly, you drive deep efficiency. Efficiency is not a language we typically use on the OpCo, PropCo, on the operations side and the management ownership side of skilled care and even assisted living.
Right.
So we need to drive deep efficiency, we need to innovate, and we need to differentiate.
All right. Well, thank you for stopping by, Irving. I appreciate it. All
My
right.
pleasure, Chad, and thanks for being here.
Thank you. Well, you can't just take a picture with me. You got to do an interview. Grab a mic. Here.
Hello.
It's a good radio voice.
Yes, it is.
All right, you got to flip your badge around because I don't know who you are. So let's start there. Who are you?
Fred Casillas from Skilled Nursing Pharmacy, Director of Logistics.
What's that? Logistics?
Director of Logistics.
All right, where is that pharmacy?
City of Industry, California.
I think I've been there before.
Really?
I think I did some speaking for pharmaceutical companies, and I came in and talked to your consultant pharmacist at one point.
Oh, nice. Do you remember who you spoke with?
That would be hard for me to remember, but
How long ago was that?
it's probably last year.
Okay.
At some point last year.
Okay.
So you guys are you're a big pharmacy.
Yes.
How many beds?
A lot.
Yeah?
That's all I can tell you, yes. Long-term care,
Yep.
yes.
And what changes are you seeing in the industry, or what are your biggest?
A lot of automation.
Yeah.
A lot of automation, machines, robots, delivery trackings for our deliveries. So it's all good stuff. DocuTrack.
Right.
Exactly.
So all these things that kind of give you an ability to be a little bit more efficient.
Yeah,
in
totally.
your business operation.
Yes, makes it a lot easier for the drivers and getting our deliveries on time, finding out where they're at, when the patient's at, when the facility asks where the medication's at, we're able to look at delivery track in our system, and you can tell when it got scanned, when it got delivered. Pretty good.
And it's something that affects not just making sure the delivery gets where it's going or where it is in the process. It also affects reimbursement because without that document that says,
Right.
hey, I actually delivered it,
Yes.
some insurance companies want to come in and say, we're going to take that
Yes.
money away.
And that's a big problem. So with delivery track and then DocuTrack, it actually shows you who signed for it, what time, it tells you the quantity, which is a big help for our audits.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I back in the day when I worked at a pharmacy, you would always have those conversations with the nurses that, hey, we delivered that, we can't find it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now you can now there's nowhere to run.
Well, but believe it or not, even when it shows that the nurse signed for it, they still can't find it.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's either in the central supply room or in their med cart.
Right.
In the wrong
But
location.
at least we can now tell them it's there.
Yes.
It's there,
Exactly.
and you signed for it.
Right. Exactly.
Well, that's great.
Yep. But anyways, okay, I'm done here.
Well, thanks for coming up. I
Nice
appreciate it,
meeting
Fred.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
nice
you.
to meet you.
All right.
Thank you. Of course. All right, Brian, how are you?
Good.
What's your name?
Brian with IND Consulting.
Okay. What does IND Consulting do?
We pride ourselves on being a one-stop shop for long-term care pharmacy. If there's anything in the pharmacy that they do, we kind of have our hand in it. From a technology perspective, we're hosting applications, we're supporting desktop support, full managed service provider. We do data entry services for people, new orders, refills, medical records, you name it. We're processing in the pharmacy systems, the QS1s and DocuTracks of the world. We're providing consulting services. I mean, literally everything that we do is anything the pharmacy does. We have kind of a solution for it. And that's kind of what we pride ourselves on.
So Irving Stackpole was just up here and talked about the need for people that work in long-term care to become more efficient. And it's not always something you think about in the long-term care space. And it sounds like what you guys do is provide a level of efficiency to some of these tasks.
It's exactly that. I mean, we do everything. We'll come in and do a full pharmacy assessment. All of us with IND have been in long-term care pharmacy for many, many years. I'm probably the least experienced, and I've been in it for 15 years. The rest of our management group is 20 plus. So, in all aspects, data entry supervisors to executive, former executive management with Omnicare. So, we have a very broad range of experience in long-term care, do a full pharmacy assessment. Here's places that you can cut costs. Here's places you can be more efficient, full report kind of stuff. And then in that, it leads into kind of our data entry services. We don't market and sell, it's not outsourcing to get rid of your staff. It's give us some of your non-core functions. A pharmacy's business is dispensing medications, right? It's not entering the orders into the system. So let your people focus on customer service and getting those meds correctly out the door, and let us do triage. Let us do your refills. Why pay someone in the pharmacy to do those non-core functions to a long-term care pharmacy when we have staff that can do it for you? That's kind of where we go with that.
Yeah, and your staff is specialized, and they're doing it all the time, so
Exactly.
They're getting better at it, and they're even more efficient than somebody's own staff.
Yeah, this day and age, it's hard to keep employees in the pharmacy. There's a lot of factors going in right now with minimum wage going up and unemployment going down. It's harder to find people. It's harder to keep people, and you're having to pay them more. So, we provide rates that are less than what you're going to pay a person internally. And like I said, it's meant for supplemental labor. It's not meant to necessarily replace labor. It's a situation where they can utilize our labor and grow with us. We like to grow with our pharmacies. So they bring on another 1,000 beds, and rather than deal with trying to figure out where am I going to put people in the pharmacy, I got to buy more computers, increase users with us, operators with us, and that work can still get done without having to increase resources inside the pharmacy or space and things like that.
Well, and drawing back on my history in pharmacy operations, you would go through those periods of starts and stops. So you can't hire somebody, get them trained, bring on the business, and then say, well, we don't really need them anymore.
And
Let's let them go. And it sounds like your solution provides some flexibility there.
Correct. And this is a huge service line that people love to use of ours. Let's say you pick up a 100-bed facility. Your people still need to do all the work to get all your current customers' stuff out for the day, and now they need to enter 100 patients, medications for 100 patients, possibly medical record orders. We have a team that specifically is focused on acquisitions for pharmacies, right? So we have people that use us every day, what we call steady state order entry, and we do refills, new orders, et cetera, for people. And we have people that just come to us when they get a new facility, and they're like, hey, I got a 100-bed facility. Can you guys key it for me? Absolutely. And that's a huge benefit to a pharmacy, to not have to worry about getting all of that loaded into their system. Somehow it has to get in there, right? And so to not put that on your staff, pay overtime, which is huge cost, stress your staff, we can load that business. It's one of our many service lines for that perspective.
So if you look at your experience in consulting these pharmacies and looking at their operations, is that the area you see the most dollars? If you're looking around for dollars that are just laying there for a pharmacy to pick up, is it in the data entry, or is there other areas too?
There's the two biggest things that you can control cost in the pharmacy: inventory and overhead, right? Labor, basically. So certainly labor is a huge place where we can go and find some efficiencies and reduce some costs, shuffle people around. And then inventory, a lot of pharmacies, they've been doing something a certain way for a long time, and they think that that's the best way. But having a fresh set of eyes come in and look at that, a lot of people aren't keeping up with their inventory as well as they should, or have processes, policies, procedures in place, or even a dedicated inventory person. That's huge when you talk about the millions of dollars of inventory in a pharmacy, right? If you can put some stuff in place to manage your purchasing and to keep what's on the shelf what is needed and not have stuff expire and utilize rebates, that's all stuff that we can consult for and save a lot of money, right? So there's inventory and overhead, especially labor from an overhead perspective, two biggest places in pharmacy where you can make some improvements.
And saving money is the name of the game.
That's all it is.
All right.
So then from a technology perspective too, We do programming. We have custom programming. We do application development. We have some applications in the industry that we provide to pharmacies. If a pharmacy says, I have an idea and I want to develop this application, we've done that several times for people, kind of one-off situations. We provide software as a service. So, you've got the core applications, the DocuTract and QS1s. But then there's some supplemental pieces out there that can help a pharmacy be more efficient or really tie into their customer base, and we provide some of those solutions as well. So, and custom reporting, all the things that, especially someone that doesn't have a dedicated IT in their pharmacy that would benefit, then we can provide kind of that resource to give them some of that stuff that an IT person would be able to give them if they had somebody that they don't. It doesn't make sense for them to pay a full-time IT person. They can use us ad hoc for a lot of that stuff. So,
well, that's great. Well, I appreciate you stopping by, Brian.
I appreciate you.
Thank you, Brian from IND Consulting. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Integra LTC Solutions podcast series, part of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. Integra designs, develops, and supports long-term care pharmacy software solutions for the LTC pharmacy market. Focused on meeting customer needs, our mission of mindful design and thoughtful service drives us to create the most functional, intuitive products on the market. Contact us today to talk about your long-term care pharmacy's operations. Find us on the web at integragroup.com.